The prison visit rooms, the most intense waiting room you've probably ever been in your life. This is Jack and GT back here from Something's Brewing. And GT, you ever been to one of them visit rooms?
Boy, have I. I wasn't a big visit guy. I would get them. I always was doing time. It seemed away from my family. Well, like you, and so didn't get a lot of visits. And funny enough is you would think everybody wants visits, and you would be surprised how many times I was in the visiting room, and it was like, okay, well, I got to go now here pretty soon. I got a softball game, or it depends how much time you're doing. I think the visiting rooms for me. I think since I was doing a lot of time, and so were you. You kind of wanted to put yourself in prison and not think about the streets too much. Um,
Yeah.
I
And
don't know
another
if
thing I
you
think is
did that.
how far away your family was. Stuff. Some people got visits like all the time, and it was like too much.
Yeah, for me, yeah. But then again, then there's children involved, younger children. That's different also. But for me, I went in a few times, and now we had at Florence where we were together. That visiting room was also where we had all of our RDAP, which is the drug program. We had all of our meetings in there, and but for the most part, all the visiting rooms are kind of exclusive things. And for me, um, the biggest thing like the visiting room for me, I couldn't help but notice sometimes it was the saddest thing in the world was at the end of a visit, and you had a guy visiting there with his wife and kids or his mom, and they brought the kids, and the kids would just hang on their dad and cry when it was time to go. And that was like the saddest thing. And I'm thinking, my God, it's pretty heart wrenching. Well, you were the photographer in at the visiting room. For people who don't know, you can buy photo tickets, and then a photographer like Jack was, they come in and take pictures, and you get pictures of you and your family, and people buy tons of photo tickets. And so you were in the visiting room all the time.
Yeah, I was in there. We had visits like every weekend and holidays, and there's yeah, I was a photo guy the whole time I was in prison, 10 years, and so I experienced three different visit rooms. But you're right. There's one thing was consistent. Much more in Latuna was the bawling and crying, the kids and the wives, and they're leaving and geez. But um, yeah, people could buy tickets. Some people, would take tons of pictures. Some guys didn't want any pictures. They want nothing. Like you said, they just wanted the family to come, hey, how you doing, and send them back. Um, but the guys whose family came a lot further, like my family came from Iowa. I was in, Cal. I never let them come to Latuna visit room. Latuna was not a place you'd want your family to come to. I didn't think. Yeah, I wouldn't
Oh,
have.
you
I don't.
you didn't let yours. I didn't know that. Now
No,
I've
no.
known you all these years, and I didn't know that you
Oh,
didn't let
really?
your family come down to Latuna.
Oh no,
Yeah.
we had Latuna visit room was horrible. I mean, there was fights in there. There was sometimes the visitors would fight, and just all kinds of crazy things going on. And all of Latuna is just a nasty place. And the visit room wasn't any cleaner because it was a visit room. It was just a nasty place, and
Yeah.
so you wouldn't want anybody to come down there. Plus, it wasn't like a dangerous. I won't call it dangerous, but it wasn't like a safe. You didn't really want your family to know these are the kind of people you're hanging out with. When you get to the camp, they see most of those mambos, and they're going. It's like in Latino, they go, "These are the kinds of people you're hanging out with," and it's horrible. They get to Florence, you go, "These are the kind of people you're hanging. Why are you hanging out with these moms? Why?" And that's the difference in inmates, as you know. There's a few guys in Florence that weren't like that, but a lot of them were. But the thing is, the visit room, we took photos there. You get to see the whole spectrum of family and family structure and in Latuna was really quite the experience. There was some I can tell people some happy times with people and there were sad times, and there were some horrible times for people in Latuna. I remember specifically there. There was a guy, and I've told you this, and this story here kind of just epitomizes how cruel people can truly be, I think. But there was a guy in Latuna, and he'd been down, incarcerated, down as we say. I think it's about 20 years. And he's getting close to going home. And he was married, and he get letters from his wife, and things are fine, and he left some money there so she could take care of herself and stuff. When he gets his letter one day, she never came to see him. This woman never came to see this guy. he gets a letter, and she's coming to see him, and it's not for long before he gets out. And I go, that's kind of weird, but you don't know. I mean, people are, you, people are weird. And we're going
Yeah.
to touch on that subject again when we get into the story here. But he's all excited, man. He gets, he gets a couple tunas, goes to the barber shop, and gets fixed up. And boy, he's been waiting to see her all these years. And visit day comes, and I'm down. In fact, I walked out with him to the visit, and I go set up. And you set up your little area, you take pictures at, and then this man, he sees his wife, and boy, he's all hugging her and this stuff here, and I noticed she wasn't hugging back very much, and she's kind of standing there. Anyway, so they sit down at these little tables like there and these chairs, and he's talking to her and stuff, and she kind of cuts him off, and she goes, "Well, I remember him saying, 'Boy, I'm so glad you're here all these years, and boy, isn't it good to see each other?'" She goes, "Well, I want to tell you something." She hadn't even said hello. She said, "So I met another guy, and I want a divorce. That's why I came here to tell you that. So I'm leaving you, and he's out in the car waiting out here, and so we're going to go, and I just want to come tell you face to face." Now
Oh,
you talk about
oh, that's rough. Yeah.
rough. The guy's ready to go home now, and she's got this house, and she basically tells her, the house is in my name, so there's really nothing for you to come back to. And you don't have any money. I've used it, and there's nothing you have any title. And she's rubbing it in. The wound's wide open. The salt's in there. And she's pushing it in, packing it in. You know, yeah, it was just horrible. I'm sitting there of all the visits to this day. When I think back in prison, of all the visits, I've heard some strange thing at visits. I've heard some weird stuff. That was the worst one. And all at once he says, "Just go away. Just go away. Just go away." And I remember that moment we were there, and it impacted him. Where he stands up, and he walks over to the CO. I remember CO goes, "What, you done?" He goes, "Yeah, that, you know." And he turned around, and he said to her, he says, "You're just taking everything, the house, the ring, everything, just go away." And he walked out, and they let him out. And that had a pretty big impact on me because, this guy went from top of the world to the bottom of the shithouse hole in, at 2 minutes. And that was the ultimate cruelty I think I ever saw in prison. Back then, and still today, because I was writing songs and stuff. And Harry, the guy's in prison with, I'd like to find him again sometime. He's the best guitar player ever been around, maybe ever seen. I went out that afternoon out there, and I sat down, and I got an idea for a song, and I wrote a song called "Go Away." And it was about this guy and that visit. Now, it doesn't talk about prison visit, that type of stuff, but Harry and a lot of guys I played it for says it captured everything about infidelity in a relationship and someone, tearing somebody's guts out. Because I don't think any guy in the world or any woman in the world has had their spouse walk away from them and do it quite like that. If you think about
that
it.
had to be rough. And he probably, to tell the truth, was thinking, well, she's coming up to reconnect now because I'm getting close to getting out.
Yeah.
So he's totally got a different idea of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
Totally different idea.
yeah, and so that had to be.
Yeah.
She ripped his heart out. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's going back out the world, and he's going back, into the unit and just sit there. But do you remember? This is a sidebar of that. But do you remember that kind of happening? How many? And I saw that happen with guys, not like this. The women weren't so cold to come and say, "Hey, here I am, but I'm leaving. Got a guy in the car, and I took your house." But do you remember how many times guys get close to getting out, and suddenly the woman go, "Whoops, he's coming home. Oh no, I'm out of here." I mean,
yeah. No, that was
happens.
a common thing. No, it was fairly common. Especially when I did state time. I don't know if you remember, there was a guy at Florence. I forget. His wife was screwing everyone, and she was telling him about it. And and he was the guy, and I couldn't remember his name, but I mean, this happened, and everybody in prison. And then he would come back to the unit and cry, actually tear up and cry and tell everyone, "Oh, now why are you telling everybody? Keep that shit to yourself, man." And he would come back to the unit and cry and stuff. And And I'm thinking, well, I could see it's heartbreaking, but I would keep that on the DL. Um, yeah, there was that in the phones. The visiting room and the phones. When you're in the
Yeah.
phone room, you always hear that kind of stuff. But the visit, yeah, it was, and it always seemed to happen. Didn't the little young kid? There was a kid we were in with, Jack and me. He got 6 months for stealing some rocks out of a national park.
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah.
And he had just had a baby, and he was doing 6 months, and he was all happy. And then his wife came up and left him, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she couldn't wait 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't wait 6 months for him. Yeah, that happened. There was another one, and this happened down there too, but one of the very few white guys was down there. His wife, she came to see him, and he knew she was having a thing, and they were going to try to work it out or close it out. And she had this guy, and she says, well, that's it, I can't. I'm in love with this other guy. And he goes, well, who is it? She goes, it's David. She goes, David? She says, you know David. He goes, who the hell's David? She says, it's your brother. He goes,
I
you
knew you
mean
were gonna say
Dave?
that.
He goes, Dave? He goes, yeah. Really? He goes, yeah. And he comes back, and I said, you didn't know it was your brother? He goes, well, I never called him David. I always called him Dave. That does surprise me, though. But that was it. Went right past him. He didn't care. But
That was like your going home from behind the fence song.
yeah,
You meet up with the bartender after you get out of prison. Well, yeah, your wife's with your brother John.
yeah, that's where it kind of came from.
Yeah.
But back this deal here with this guy in this song, and the reason we're talking about this today a little bit is we released on our channel the video of the song "Go Away," and we'd like everybody to take a look at it. But I think before you take a look at it, even if you have, because several people have, I think you should know kind of the story behind it. That's the first part of the story. It was written about a real life event, which most of our songs are. And it's a sad song, but there's some professional musicians playing this, so it's very good. Our singer is kind of what we wanted to talk about, and her name's Tina Stein. And the reason Tina is our singer is because when I wrote this song, and when GT and I started all these things, one of the things is we want to work with people who've been in prison before. And I could have had a number of people do this song, and GT and I talked about this. We had some people wanted to do this song, professional singers and stuff, and
they did your other songs.
Yeah, and they wanted to do this song here, and we're not talking about big super name stars. We're not going to tell you that, but professional demo singers, other people I know that have been singing for a long time, very good, but none of them been in prison. And Tina had been, what is it, 20-some years? 26?
26 years.
26 years, yeah.
Yeah, I think in
And
Indiana, wasn't it?
I think so.
I think it was Indiana, yeah.
She got out of prison.
Multiple bids.
Yeah, multiple bids.
Yeah,
And,
she's like me. Slow learner.
Yeah, slow learner.
Yeah.
Veteran. They are journeyman
veteran,
inmate.
Yeah.
Journeyman
But a learner.
inmate.
Yeah, but a learner nonetheless. She learned too. Yeah, she learned too.
She did.
Yeah.
And she's done very well for herself since she's got out.
Yes.
She works for a company called Televerde out of Arizona, which is it's a company that's marketing for major corporations and use female inmates to do the marketing. Look Televerde. You need to look televerde.com. Anyway, they do some great work with female inmates, getting them working, getting them paid.
These women are still in prison.
Yeah, still in prison.
And they're getting like $3 an hour, I think it is.
Well, the minimum wage in their state now is what they pay, I guess, is what they've decided. I don't know what that even is.
But you have to understand, I thought it was or maybe it was $6, whatever the minimum wage was. Oh, that's right, it was more than $3. That was a California program I'm talking about. But you guys have to understand, it doesn't sound like much, but in prison, you start talking about $6 an hour, you have money. I mean, that's like you're living large, actually.
You're one of the one percenters.
You're the one percenters, really. And that's a lot of money. But they don't give it all to them. They give them I think $90 a month or something to spend on themselves. If they have restitution or fines, they put so much to it, and then they put it in a bank account for these women. And a lot of these women are doing time, a long time, and so they have some money when they get out. and these people, and they're marketing for like big companies. I think Microsoft stuff, and doing telemarketing right from the prison. And you know, these women actually hit the ground running, and they feel some self-worth. And I don't know why there isn't more programs like this, to tell the truth.
Exactly, because they show that it works. I mean, and I didn't know anything about it, and I don't think you did it. We got her name, actually, the whole idea of the women out there working in this company from Prison Fellowship, and they kind of steered us toward her, and then we met
Raphael, wasn't that his name?
Raphael at Prison
Raphael,
Fellowship.
yeah.
Yeah, and he anyway. So we I talked to Tina a few times, and we decided to. This is what we're going to do, because I know some other people that had been in prison a little bit, but I thought, woman, 26 years and she's doing well and she gets out and she's a ball of fire, a lot of enthusiasm and stuff. And so we ended up sending her to Nashville and recording the song. And you know, it's I just want people to listen to it, but you got to understand something too. The song, and I'm going to tell you, it's powerful. People have told me that when we played this I played it in Latuna where I first played it. We played it in Florence. We played it again in Kentucky. They're all three places. When I played this in Latuna the first time, Harry and I played, and I sang it. And I'm not a great vocalist, but we actually had guys get tears in their eyes. And we had a bunch of other songs we sang, happy songs, stuff we wrote about the prison, about the COs. So we had songs making shit out of everybody. We did some Johnny Cash songs, you know. But that song got recorded. We played it 5 times in a row. They asked for it, and you know, it was a big deal to these guys.
Well, that song was popular at Florence. When I met Jack, he wrote this down in Latuna, but when I met him, and when we have talked about where we had you have the different bands play on holidays, the prison bands, and Jack was always the most popular, and that song was extremely popular. It's a heart-wrenching thing, and you kind of even get it more than her, and you guys got to understand with Tina now. This isn't a professionally trained singer. Tina is like just. She's always been told she has a great voice. She's basically a shower singer, like millions of Americans. Yeah. But this guy Raphael told us, hey, she's got a nice voice. She's been to prison. He goes, I might have someone for you, and so we pulled the trigger on this, and because you know, I think I might have covered this before, but our whole thing about these businesses. You can see the sign for Prison Break behind me. It all started from Jack's books, and so we had the publishing part, and then Jack has a lot of songs, and they're good. So now I'm not a country music guy, but I know good talent. I've been around rock star people. I've been around, and anyways, Jack's a great songwriter, and so you know we always knew we were going to do this, and it's funny that we tried to pull this all off at one time: the books, the music, and the beer, and everybody told us, why don't you do one thing at once? And I don't know, you know, maybe we should have, but we always felt like, you know, it was probably hubris, but, you know, without hubris, I wouldn't have gone to prison so many times, you know, and we always said, well, nobody's ever done something like that. Started all this at once, being ex-prisoners. And Tina was one of the legs of the stools that we were trying. And Tina's a great girl. You know, I hung out with her in Arizona. I went and met her over by Lake Havasu, and I went to one of their fundraisers for Televerde, and Tina sang this song, and all the people there loved it. And so we kind of felt like we were fulfilling what we said we were going to do. Prison Break's going to hire guys and girls coming out of prison, teach them the craft beer business. Jack always planned on maybe starting some things on how, if you can't write a book, you can edit a book. You know, whatever you can do in the music business, if you don't have the talent to write songs or play songs, there's other jobs. And we always thought as we made it, we could bring people up with us. And we're still working on the we're making it part, and we're going to do that. But this was our first foray into that, and I'm kind of proud of it. I thought that, you know, is she totally professional like the people we had singing her other songs there in Nashville? No, you know, but they do it for a living. But I thought and it meant a lot to Tina. If you guys knew Tina, she's been like singing since she was a little girl, and her mother has always. She's probably like other million other little girls. Her mom's telling her, "Oh, you got the best voice, honey. You're gonna be a star." And Tina always held that in her heart, and so she was like so appreciative and so glad that she got the chance. It was kind of a cool thing.
And she, the one thing as we watch it is that I will tell you the emotion she puts into something and the work she puts into something, she can make you feel that song because it's a painful song. If you're going there for happy times, you're going to the wrong place. But I think you have an enjoyable time when you listen to it. And it's free. It doesn't cost you a damn thing. Go take a look at it and see how she does. And remember, when you're watching her, you're watching somebody who spent 2.5 decades plus a year in prison and came
And
out.
never sang
Never sang.
professionally.
No.
Yeah.
And it's came out and being successful in her world of business. And, she pours, I hate this term, heart and soul, but that's what she does, what she puts into it. And she's, we're going to have her on at some point here. You can get a chance to visit with her and you'll see what we say, how she's like. But like Greg said, the whole idea is for us to work with people who've been in prison because they get this. And we want everybody else to get it too. And so we're hoping that you all kind of punch in, take a look at that song, and follow us along as we do. Because we got some other ones coming up too. We're going to put out some other songs and listen to, and we got some other stories. We're going to go back to the visit room again. We got some other things there, but this is something we want to bring up today, so you can take a good listen to it.
When another time we'll touch on my stay at the co-ed place in prison at Pleasanton, and we'll talk about the visiting room there where my girlfriend in there got to meet my family. That's a whole nother story. But that's a Pleasanton story. This was a visiting room story. Anyways, is that about it then?
That's it for today. I'm going to tell everybody, don't forget, reach down, hey, and subscribe or give us a like. See what you think about it. Just follow us along for a while. We got a lot more stuff. We got some freebies coming up. We got Tina come up interview pretty soon. We have some other inmates we're going to be bringing up from different levels, from different areas of the world. Guys been involved in gang stuff to guys involved in white collar stuff. So stay tuned for that. Hope everybody takes care. It's Jack.
Hey, wait,
GT.
let me add one thing. If you guys can, if any of you are in Riverside, you can see the Brew Crew sign there. Come on down to the Brew Crew in Riverside, California. We got 4 Prison Break beers on tap here, and we'd love for you to come down and see it. And I might be in here and even talk, have a conversation. If I'm here, we'll sure have one.
Stop down to Brew Crew and see GT. Do it early. Do it late. He'll talk your leg off then. But what the hell? All right. See you soon.
Talk to you.
Jack and GT
Bye.
from Something's Brewing.